Now, I will admit that one of my Transformers fiction blind spots is any of the Japanese shows. But that hasn't stopped me from thinking that some of the Japanese-inspired figures they've made or have been making recently are pretty darn cool. And when they announced this guy was going to be part of Legacy Evolution Wave 1, I could not be more excited. And I'm here to say, he's pretty damn awesome in hand. Let's get into it. How's it going, everyone? deceptibot9 here, and thank you, as always, for joining me here on the channel. Before we get too far into the review, I'd like to ask, if you like what you see, go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay tuned and see more of all the future content I have planned, go ahead and subscribe as well. It does really truly mean a lot to me. Plus, if you want to follow me anywhere else on the internet, you can find me on TikTok at deceptibot9, on Twitter at deceptibot9, and on Instagram at deceptibot9 reviews. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and get right into a closer look at Transformers Legacy Leo Prime. Alright, here is a 360 up-close look at Maximal Leader Leo Prime, as he's called on the packaging, but I feel like a lot of us know him better as Leo, or Lio, I guess is how you would say it, Lio Convoy, which is what I like to call him, since that's kind of his proper name, and it fits a little bit better to me, honestly, than Leo Prime does. But you can see that this guy looks absolutely terrific. He looks very heroic. Obviously, he looks a lot like the original Optimus Prime that we all know and love, you know, so it's hard to pass up with a type of color scheme like that. But he's got a bunch of additional lion bits on him, and I think overall this figure turned out very, very, very well done. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the details on this guy, because some of them are pretty incredible. All right, coming in first up here is the head sculpt, which is a very reminiscent of the original Optimus Prime, but also very accurate. Plug that in there. Very accurate to the anime as well. I just love the way this head looks with the nice silver ears amidst all the blue, plus the faceplate and the little grill piece up here at the top. The yellow eyes piercing in are very well done overall as well. Plus we got some nice details here on the chest, accurate to the original anime as well. Here's his little Maximo logo, plus just for fun, here is his Matrix chamber as well. So you got that little piece of it going on right there as well, which opens up and closes in very nicely. Coming down on his abs, we got some nice detail right there as well. The white parts don't have as much. They do have some. Obviously, this is, you know, the lion piece of it. And you can see over here is the head as well, plus the mane. So the mane is done all in this nice yellowish kind of gold. It's not gold, but, you know, it's yellowish plastic. Looks very well sculpted, well done. The head, the lion head, is over here on this side. And it doesn't look as bad in person as it did in the original stock photos. It looks very lion-esque, and I do really like it. This other side of him is the, you know, overhanging back piece of the lion as well, plus the little yellow detail nub right there as well. Coming in on the arms, there is some nice sculpted detail on there, plus the fists look very nice with this mix of blue and gray. We get some more of the lion mane pieces going on right there. This piece right here is the lion leg, kind of just hanging off the arm, a little bit of kibble, but if I am remembering correctly, it is kind of accurate to the original model, how he looks overall. Plus, it does play a feature in the robot mode, which we'll get to in a minute. Coming around the back here is just a piece of the lion back and mane right there, painted kind of gold-ish. Not much else detail going on the back. You can see a lot of exposed pins and stuff, but not a lot of hollow pieces. There is not a lot of hollowness on this guy, minus on the back of the arms, where some transformation will play out. Coming in here to the crotch, we can see nice painted silver with a nice big blue dot right there in the middle, and some gold coming down to the legs. Just some more of that kind of plain lion detail. Not really much to see on the white parts, you know, it is kind of molded to look kind of like fur, but it's coming off a little hard to tell on the camera. Moving down to the actual legs themselves, we get some nice red kneecaps with some silver and blue highlights here on the calf to show some of that mechanical detail, plus the lion feet with some very well painted claws. All right, so I mentioned this kibble as sticking out and playing a feature in the robot mode, and I'm sure you guys who are fans of the show and this character plus this figure already know what that is, but I want to show it off anyway because I think it is really, really cool. So accessory and playability wise, this guy comes with some guns that are very well hidden because obviously you can't see them here. One of those features is grabbing these pieces right here of the lion mane. They flip out to expose some guns up on the shoulder, so he can get some shoulder cannons looking over his shoulder if he wants to fire them off that way. These pieces are blast effect compatible, so you can get him firing over his shoulder with those. But he also has back here on the back, you can see underneath, there are two more right there as well. These are also blast effect compatible. So if you put them in the back there, it kind of forms a little jetpack, but they are just tabbed in. You can see here on this gun, it's got a nice little tab, which serves up there is the little hole. You can tab these into the back piece to form that jetpack, or there are multiple other spots you can house these on the figure. For one, there's a couple little slits on the lion mane, one on this side, one on the other side. If you want to plug them in onto the lion mane and get a full sort of blasted up look on the shoulder, you can do that. Or what you can also do is take these main pieces on his arms, and they are tabbed in with a little peg right there and a little peg hole on this side. Rotate these all the way out. Take the little ones that tabbed into the back, and you can tab them in. It's kind of like a hexagon shaped hole, so they slot in very nicely. You can do that on both sides. Take out the ones up here on the top of the lion mane. These ones are pegged. They're a 5mm peg. You can place those into his hands. Claps this back up. And then, if you notice on the underside of the lion legs here, there is a little gold strip, which if you grab and flip out, they form some super cool, let's get this side, come on, super cool blades, which you can then use the articulation of the lion leg to flip out to the front underneath his hand. And then he's got a super cool, sort of super powered up, ready to kick Predacons. I think they fight Predacons in Beast Wars 2. Predacon tail. And this is a super cool look as well. I love this sort of flip out weapon gimmick feature. Plus, I just love what you're able to do with these other guns. I think it's a whole lot of fun to get a bunch of different unique looks out of him just like that, which are all accurate, of course, to the show. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and cover articulation real fast because this guy is pretty darn posable. So coming up on the head, he is on a ball joint, so you can get him to spin all the way around, and he can sort of look up and down ever so slightly a little bit and tilt his head around. Mine seems a little bit stiff. You might have a little bit more range on yours. He does also have a sort of neck joint as well that tabs in. That's used for transformation, but you can use it to get a little bit more if you would like. The shoulders do have a full range. They're on a swivel hinge up here, but due to the way the shoulders transfer, the shoulder pad pieces transform, you can really only get them going about that far in total. These do swivel due to transformation, so you can get it going at least kind of up, but you can't really get it much more than that. They can go out a good amount like that far. This one is a little more hindered just because of the way the lion mane transforms. It's not really all that movable over there, but you can get it going back a little bit. Both arms do also have swivel up here on the forearm, an elbow bend that goes just about 90, a swivel, not a swivel, sorry, just a downward hinge on the wrist due to transformation. And like I said, this here, the lion leg pieces are on a ball joint right there as well, so you can kind of rotate those around, and a hinge here and a swivel there, which will kind of and not really have more effect in the lion mode. A lot of this these joints are used mostly for transformation, so getting it into the lion mode, but we'll talk about that in a minute. He does also have a waist swivel right there as well. Legs go forward that far, kick all the way to the front. They also kick all the way to the back, and a split that goes all the way down. That is great. We love to see that out of our figures. Plus, they also have a swivel here. They do have a single knee joint, although it looks like a double that is used for transformation and goes the other way. So if you wanted to kind of crunch like that, you can do that. He doesn't really have a thigh swivel, but he kind of does as well. It's kind of weird because it's on a diagonal because it's used for transformation to kind of make his lion leg look a little better. So it kind of hinges a little weird, but you can get some use out of it if you need. Plus, he also has ankle pivot, which we've all come to know and love. All right, before we get into transformation and lion mode, let's see how Lio Convoy looks with some other figures, shall we? Here he is next to Earthrise Voyager Optimus Prime, so you can kind of see those design comparisons there. Here he is with his Maximal Leader predecessor, Optimus Primal from the Kingdom line, so you can see how these two look together. And here he is next to Transformers Cybertron Leo Breaker, one of my original Transformer figures that got me into the franchise to begin with. And we've seen this body mold recolored into Leo Convoys before, so it's a fitting comparison. All right, I have returned the weapons to their storage, so let's go ahead and get this guy maximized. Alright, and here is Lio Convoy transformed up into his lion mode. And honestly, I'd really enjoy the transformation. I think it is a lot of fun, and especially up here at the top. I think the way they transform this whole top section is pretty cool and pretty unique, especially with the way the chest kind of folds out and the head folds in, rotates, and then it collapses up on itself up top. I think it's really, really cool, and I really, really enjoy it. So overall, I mean, I think it's a pretty decent looking lion mode. You can see a lot of it gets covered up, and there's not really too much robot kibble going on. So let's take a closer look at some of the details on the lion. There's not really a lot of new, but we might as well while he's a lion. So we can get a better perspective of the lion head now, how it is meant to be. You can see my nose does have a couple scratches on it. No big deal. I can always paint over it. But he's got a nice little black nose, some gold eyes, and you can see his mane kind of in full now. It looks really, really nice overall, and you can see that the paint on the back, this is the back of his robot mode body. It's a slightly different color, so there's a little bit of color match difference going on there, but overall it's nothing too bad. And you can really see there's not much that we didn't see in robot mode. Obviously, coming down here, this was where his head was, and his chest cavity was, or his chest plates were covering this. So this is kind of new as well. Under here on the blue, or on the gray. Come on, focus, camera. Oh, he's trying to focus on his legs. On the gray, that's just the inside of his chest, which is really, really cool. And here's his fists, which are some of the only robot kibble that are sticking out on this guy. But overall, I mean, I'm really, really pleased with the lion mode. I think it looks really, really nice overall. Obviously, there's panel lines everywhere, but that is to be expected when we're dealing with a transforming robot toy that turns into an animal. So just like his robot mode, he does have some playable features that I want to talk about. Obviously, his mouth opens up, which I love. It is so fun to see him chomp around. You can also kind of close it all the way. You'll hear it click. So it does click closed, and you'll just have to kind of pop it back open just like that. And just like his robot mode with the lion head, he does have those hidden gun features. So he can go into a full sort of attack mode, which he did in the show as well, with the lion mode. So to do that, you just got to get in here to this part of the main. If you can pry it up, might be easier actually going the other way. So because the guns are stored in here, you got to get into the top part of his lion mode, which you might have to disconnect all of the back to sort of get to it here for a second. Yeah, you want to get up in here, pull these guys out, which gives you clearance to flip that up and around, close the back up, just everything tabs nice and in. Then you can either clip these into the tabs that we talked about earlier on the side, but the official mode is you flip these pieces out, which were the ones that were on the arms, and you tab these guys back into those holes that are exposed there. And there we have a full sort of attack lion mode all built out. And I think that's really neat. And I love that they were able to integrate this feature into both the robot mode and the lion mode as well. I love how simple this the flipping out of the top part of the lion mane is, but it is really, really fun despite how simple that is, and they just tuck and fold away. And same thing with these ones here. Flip those around, and he's back to normal. And as you saw, these guns do store either on the side right here, or you can get all the way up in his back to store those as well. And let's talk about the thing that I think could have used the most improvement on the lion mode overall, and that is articulation. Because for the most part, in lion mode here, Lio Convoy is kind of a brick. He can't really do anything. There's lots of articulation built into his lion legs, but unfortunately they don't do much. We saw these ball joints here. These are the ones, come on, focus. These are the ones that are attached to his arms in the robot mode, but they're locked there because this arm piece is pegged in. So all we're really getting for articulation on the front legs in robot mode is sort of a forward and back hinge kind of at the knee, which doesn't really provide much. It does also swivel as well if you want to swivel his legs to kind of get him to stand out a little bit more, but you can get him kind of forward like he's pouncing or something there. The jaw we talked about, but there is no other head movement besides that. It is stationary. The only other articulation on him is in the back legs, which they swivel kind of back that far and they go forward that far. They swivel here at the cut that was in robot mode. You can use the knee a little bit if you want it to go out. Otherwise, you're just extending it. And you can use the swivel at the ankle and the pivot at the ankle as well. So you can kind of get his legs to go, out a little bit on the back and get him to go down a little bit. So the lion mode articulation, unfortunately, it's not really there. And he ends up, for the most part, being a bit of a brick. But I think he looks great overall. So less sort of articulation than we've seen out of some of the recent Beast Wars additions to the Generations line. But I think he turned out really well, and I think he looks really nice as well, obviously. So I don't really mind some of that lack, but it would have been nice to get some. So let's go ahead and, of course, look at some comparisons here in lion mode. Alright, first up, here is Lio Convoy with Optimus Prime from Earthrise. You can see they're kind of roughly the same size, and don't even get me started on scale. I do not think a lion is this big compared to a semi-truck, but who cares, right? Here he is with his predecessor, Optimus Primal. This size might... No, that's not accurate. There's no way a gorilla is that big compared to a lion. Actually, I have no idea. Zoologists, correct me in the comments. Is this accurate scaling for a gorilla versus a lion? I am very curious to know. And last but not least, Lion v. Lion. Here is Leo Breaker and Leo Convoy. I would love a new version of Leo Breaker in Legacy, especially after how cool Metroplex and Override turned out. I just want more Cybertron guys in Legacy overall. Alright, that is going to do it for my closer look at Transformers Legacy Lio Convoy. So let's go ahead and throw it back up to me for my final thoughts. So what are my final thoughts here on Legacy Lio Convoy? Well, if you couldn't tell throughout the review, guys, I am beaming about how awesome this figure is. I think he truly rocks in robot mode. You can get some really cool poses out of him. There's a lot of playability in there. I think transformation is really fun, really neat. I love how that turned out. Lion mode could use a little bit more articulation, sure, but I think overall it looks really, really cool. This guy is definitely one of, if not my favorite Legacy figures so far. I am loving this guy. Alright, so that is going to do it for my review of Transformers Legacy Voyager class Lio Convoy, or Leo Prime as he's called in Legacy. So go ahead guys, let me know your thoughts on this figure down below. Do you have him yet? Are you looking to plan on picking him up? I found mine at Target a few weeks ago. Still no sign yet of Tarn, who I am very excited for as well. But go ahead and let me know all your thoughts on Legacy Lio Convoy down below. And guys, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you. I do really truly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So guys, as always, I have been your host, deceptibot9. Thank you all for joining me here on the channel, and I'll see you guys later.